Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly Digest for week 1 of October 2025. India's central bank has set a September 30th deadline for Tata Sons, the holding company of the Tata Group, to list publicly. Classified as an upper layer shadow bank, Tata Sons faces this mandate under new RBI regulations for large NBFCs. The group, however, argues it's not ready and has sought deregistration, creating a significant regulatory face-off. JioStar India, a joint venture between Reliance Industries Limited and Disney, was created in November 2024 through the merger of Star India and Viacom 18. The combined company was valued at $8.5 billion. In its September 26 order, the National Company Law Tribunal approved the merger under Sections 230 to 232 of the Companies Act, calling it fair, reasonable, and not in violation of any provisions of law. Britain is backing Jaguar Land Rover, owned by India's Tata Motors, with a $1.5 billion loan guarantee. This support addresses a month-long production shutdown caused by a cyber attack, which severely impacted JLR's supply chain and threatened numerous jobs. The government's intervention aims to safeguard the iconic British brand and its crucial automotive sector, ensuring stability for affected suppliers. The Reserve Bank of India has issued the Authentication Mechanisms for Digital Payment Transactions Directions 2025, setting a comprehensive framework to strengthen the security of digital payments in India. The new directions are applicable to all payment system providers and participants, covering both banks and non-bank entities engaged in digital payments. The framework mandates that each digital payment transaction must be authenticated using at least two distinct factors of authentication. WeWork India is preparing to launch its initial public offering on October 3rd in a share sale expected to raise nearly Rs 3,000 crore. The offer will close on October 7th, with anchor investor bidding opening on October 1st, the company's red herring prospectus shows. The IPO will consist entirely of an offer for sale of up to 46.3 million equity shares. Promoter group firm Embassy Buildcon LLP and Investor One Aerial Way Tenant Limited, part of WeWork Global, will sell shares in the offering. As the issue is an offer for sale, WeWork India itself will not receive any proceeds. The National Financial Reporting Authority, or NFRA, is expected to commence its annual inspection of large audit firms, including the Big Four, from October end, with a focus on whether the firms have taken corrective steps after then regulator flagged issues related to related party transaction disclosures and documentation. The official said that the regulator will ask for more disclosures from the firms this year, especially pertaining to their work in non-audit space, to investigate any possible instances of violations. Air India has raised about $215 million from Bank of India and Standard Chartered through Gift City to refinance short-term debt used to buy 6 Boeing 777-300ER aircraft. The 6-year loan raised through Gujarat International Finance Tech City, or Gift City, is priced at about 168 basis points over the secured overnight financing rate. The loan comes after an Air India plane crash in June, which was one of the worst aviation accidents in the country, initially causing talks for fundraising to slow. Larsen & Toubro secured a $700 million sustainability-linked trade finance from Standard Chartered. This facility is tied to key performance indicators like greenhouse gas emissions and freshwater withdrawal, aligning with L&T's business operations and market standards. This follows their earlier issuance of India's first listed sustainability-linked bond. Life sciences private equity firm Ascent has acquired a significant stake in Apex Hospitals, investing $30 million. This funding, a mix of primary infusion and secondary purchase from existing investor Somerset Indus, will fuel the Rajasthan-based multi-specialty hospital chain's expansion into Western and Northern India. Apex's promoters will retain a majority stake. The Goods and Services Tax Network has issued an advisory to remind taxpayers about the 3-year time limit for filing GST returns. This rule, introduced by the Finance Act 2023 and brought into effect from 1st October 2023 through notification number 28/2023 Central Tax, has important implications for taxpayers who have pending or delayed returns. The advisory serves as a final reminder to comply with the new restriction within the prescribed timeline. Aratai, the instant messaging app from Zoho, saw a 100% increase in downloads over the last 3 days, with users praising the platform. The app, which had an average download of 3,000 per day, saw 350,000 daily sign-ups in what Zoho founder Sridhar Vembu referred to as an example of patient engineering. The app was first launched in 2021. Tata Motors is set to go through a momentous change tomorrow on October 1st. After nearly 80 years as a unified company, it is poised to split into 2 distinct entities. The stated purpose is to sharpen focus on passenger vehicle and commercial vehicle businesses amid rising competitive pressures that have chipped away at its market share. Tata Motors announced a further investment of Rs 120 crore in Freight Commerce Solutions. This brings its total commitment to Freight Tiger to Rs 270 crore. The company aims to transform logistics using artificial intelligence. Tata Motors also established a new subsidiary in the Netherlands. This entity will manage business interests. Tata Motors announced a further investment of Rs 120 crore in Freight Commerce Solutions. This brings its total commitment to Freight Tiger to Rs 270 crore. The company aims to transform logistics using artificial intelligence. Tata Motors also established a new subsidiary in the Netherlands. This entity will manage business interests. RBI will likely maintain policy rates. A 25 basis point rate cut would be a positive surprise. This decision is expected from the Monetary Policy Committee. Economists anticipate a dovish commentary. Previous RBI rate cuts are showing impact on lending. External and domestic pressures influence the central bank's policy. The governor will announce the outcome on Wednesday. Zerodha is considering charging fees for equity delivery trades for the first time in its history, as regulatory restrictions on derivatives trading have slashed its brokerage revenues by 40% in the latest quarter. The hit stems from a combination of measures: higher securities transaction tax on options, the reduction of weekly expiries, the removal of exchange fee rebates, and a general slowdown in market activity. Urban Company said it received a show cause notice from the Directorate General of GST Intelligence, Mumbai Zonal Unit, alleging tax contravention amounting to Rs 51.3 crore for the period April 2021 to March 2025. Urban Company has been discharging GST at 5% on payments made to professionals offering plumbing, carpentry, electrician and cleaning services by classifying them under housekeeping. The DGGI has taken the view that appliance repair, servicing and painting should also be covered under the same option. SmartWorks Co-working Spaces Limited has launched a tailor-made solution to help foreign companies establish large global capability centers in India. SmartWorks will offer large format, whole building campuses, many spanning over 5 lakh square feet, that can be tailored to reflect the unique identity of GCCs. The company is building on its strength by bringing in curated alliance partners who can support GCCs with legal and compliance requirements, taxation, talent acquisition, operational advisory, and even R&D and innovation. Through these partners, SmartWorks is now able to offer services across the spectrum, creating an ecosystem for GCC success in India. Kia is set to introduce a compact hybrid SUV in India within 18 months, venturing into the dual-powered vehicle segment. This strategic launch aligns with India's evolving emissions policy, which now promotes hybrid technologies. The automaker aims to capture a crucial market niche as Japanese rivals have focused on larger models. The Reserve Bank of India unveiled measures to expand credit flow, strengthen bank balance sheets, and enhance ease of doing business, receiving widespread approval from bankers. While key interest rates remain unchanged to assess previous policy impacts, these steps are seen as growth accretive and supportive of India's resilient economic fundamentals amid global uncertainties. Bengaluru-based premium flexible workspace operator WeWork India Management Limited has raised Rs 1,348.26 crore from anchor investors ahead of its initial public offering. The Rs 3,000 crore IPO will open on October 3rd and close on October 7th, with a price band of Rs 615 to Rs 648 per share. Audit Palicha and Kaivalya Vohra, the Gen Z co-founders of e-commerce platform Zepto, have emerged as the youngest billionaires featured on the M3M Hurun India Rich List 2025. Vohra and Palicha boast net worths of Rs 4,480 crore and Rs 5,380 crore respectively. Since its launch in 2021, Zepto has rapidly grown to become one of India's leading quick commerce players, with its latest valuation pegged at $5.9 billion. Healthcare tech firm Indegene has announced the acquisition of BioPharm, a Pennsylvania-based specialized marketing services agency and part of Omnicom Health Group, for $106 million. BioPharm delivers marketing and communication solutions to life sciences clients across North America. BioPharm, which employs more than 90 people in the US, reported revenues of $38.13 million in 2024 and specializes in data-driven healthcare provider marketing solutions. Swiss healthcare major Roche Pharma said on Wednesday it will invest 1.5 billion Swiss francs or approximately $1.9 billion in India over the next 5 years, marking a significant expansion as the country becomes a key growth and innovation hub for the pharmaceutical giant. Roche currently has over 5,000 employees in India. Indian consumer goods and auto companies experienced their best Navaratri sales in over a decade, with growth ranging from 25% to 100%. Reduced GST and product prices fueled this surge, significantly boosting consumer sentiment. Maruti Suzuki doubled sales, while electronics brands like Hair saw high double-digit growth, setting a positive tone for the upcoming Diwali season. The RBI is proposing a uniform compensation policy for all regulated entities and considering additional payouts for complaints resolved by its ombudsman, aiming to bolster customer grievance redressal. While banks largely back a uniform approach, they oppose extra compensation at the regulator's level, citing potential for exaggerated claims. India's Electronics Component Manufacture Scheme, or ECMS, has attracted $13 billion in investment proposals, nearly doubling its target and significantly exceeding expectations. This unprecedented interest, including 60% from MSMEs, positions India to become a global electronics manufacturing hub, reducing import dependence and creating 141,000 direct jobs. The government has invited applications for research and innovation projects under its Promotion of Research and Innovation Pharma Medtech Sector scheme to make it a globally competitive and innovation-driven sector. With an approved outlay of Rs 5,000 crore, The scheme is expected to catalyze a pharma medtech innovation pipeline by supporting around 300 projects, involving total R&D investment of about Rs 11,000 crore in new medicines, complex generics, biosimilars, and novel medical devices. In the biggest capital infusion by an investor in a non-banking financial company in India, Abu Dhabi-based international holding company PJSC or IHC, through its affiliate Avenir Investment RSC, has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire 41.2% stake in Saman Capital, formerly India Bulls Housing Finance, for Rs 8,850 crore. The transaction marks the entry of IHC, one of the world's largest investment firms with a market capitalization of $239.9 billion, into the financial services sector in India. The government could allow wholly owned local subsidiaries of overseas original equipment manufacturers or OEMs to qualify as Indian vendors in defense procurement, a long pending demand of the industry. This would facilitate their participation and help boost domestic manufacturing. The idea is to reduce bottlenecks in procurement and further simplify the defense offset clause, which calls for local investment by foreign makers that win contracts. The current procurement policy that seeks to build a domestic defense ecosystem gives preference to local vendors. Eyewear retailer Lenskart has received SEBI approval for its IPO, targeting a mid-November listing. The company aims to raise Rs 2,150 crore in fresh capital, with the total IPO size expected to be Rs 7,500 to 8,000 crore. Lenskart turned profitable in fiscal 2025, posting a net profit of Rs 297 crore, and will use proceeds for store expansion and acquisitions. India achieved its highest Navaratri sales in over a decade, propelled by government GST reforms that lowered prices and boosted consumer aspirations. This led to record consumption, with major auto and electronics companies like Maruti Suzuki, M&M, Hyundai, LG, and Haier reported their best ever festive season performance. The Reserve Bank proposed new rules for foreign entities establishing offices in India. These draft regulations aim to simplify the process. They will offer more operational freedom for businesses. Eligibility criteria for setting up a presence in India will be relaxed. Government approval remains necessary for certain countries and sectors. Feedback is sought on these changes until October 2025. The Reserve Bank of India has expanded the related party transaction guidelines to include promoters, key management persons, shareholders with equity of over 5%, and entities with influence and their relatives, according to a draft circular released on Friday. The move is aimed at tightening governance and reducing conflicts of interest in lending practices by commercial banks. The revised norms, effective from April 1, 2026, consolidate and replace over a dozen legacy circulars, creating a unified regulatory framework. RBI also introduced scale-based thresholds beyond which banks and non-banking financial companies will need board approval for lending to related parties. The Reserve Bank of India has notified the Reserve Bank of India Interest Rate on Advances Amendment Directions 2025, bringing important changes to the regulatory framework on how banks determine and adjust spreads on lending rates. Under the revised guidelines, banks are now allowed to reduce other spread components earlier than the 3-year period, provided such decisions are taken on justifiable and non-discriminatory grounds. This move ensures that reductions in lending spreads can be passed on to borrowers more quickly, thereby promoting fairness in lending and enabling banks to adapt to evolving market conditions. ANSR has signed a landmark Memorandum of Understanding with the Government of Maharashtra to develop a world-class GCC city in Navi Mumbai. The upcoming GCC city in Navi Mumbai is envisioned as India's premier destination for global enterprises to establish, scale and innovate through their GCCs. It will provide cutting-edge infrastructure, create a robust ecosystem for innovation, and attract significant global investments into Maharashtra. This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.